Nah, dog. Privacy coins are wrecked, dog. Ren is literally an on-chain mixer. It's got dark pools and stuff. I mean, it's good at what it does. It's just, I can't see how that's going to be left alone for much longer. That's the hard part with some of this stuff. The tech is great, but that doesn't necessarily mean price is going to go up. Trying to fix my windows here before we get started. So I've traded the sweet lullaby of leaf blowers for what feels like a CIA black site. They are like grinding concrete across the way from me, and it is not a good sound. So hope you guys can hear that. I don't know what they're doing over there. Make Doge go into cloud. Yeah, I know you can't see the screen yet. It's not 2 o'clock. Andrew Nick, it's 1:58. We gotta let the people shuffle in. I can't just start. People get upset. Imagine if you had tickets to a movie and you thought it started at 2 o'clock, but actually it started at 1:58. Wouldn't you be upset? Wouldn't you feel victimized? Yeah, starting soon means soon. 2 o'clock every week. Corin's ready. Griff's saying hello. Tet. We'll take a look. A lot of people asking me about layer 2s. They've done quite well lately. I don't know what the best chart for Lido is. The most price data, I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly. These are just the 20 minutes of previews, guys. I mean, pre-shows where the alpha is sometimes. The post shows where the alpha is, where I walk around and get some blood flowing. That's where the alpha is. Only sound, no pick? Really? I mean, can you see me now? Unless YouTube's lying to me. Did it work there? Huh. I'm gonna have to pull up my own stream. Do I have a bunch of trolls in the chat? Yeah, I think YouTube is trolling me because it's not even live. Pick was there starting. See, you guys. I'm gonna put all of y'all in the driver's seat. See how you like it. All right, we're getting ETFs next week or tomorrow. I don't know what to tell people. If it's not January, it's March. So I'm glad there's disbelief. I'm glad 60% of advisors still seem to think that it's not going to happen. And the other half of people and or majority of people are telling me it's priced in. It literally cannot be priced in if people don't think it's going to happen. Like, that's not how this works, guys. This is the list. Can I turn my mic up? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You know, here's some inside baseball on OBS. The real problem is it updated and it may have changed my settings. No, all the settings look good. I mean, I can get closer, but then things get a little breathy, you know? Live from county prison? I don't think so. Hold on. See, you guys, you just playing games. You're playing games with me. Let me test it out. Let's see how it is, Keith. Maybe it's the people who are listening who are sitting in prison. You ever think about that? Look, this sounds great to me. I don't know what to tell you. It's fine. It's fine. I appreciate the feedback. Anyway, ETFs are happening. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it's going to be sell the news. Sure, people are positioning that are in the know for an ETF, but this is not. I don't know. I don't know what to tell people. It's amazing to me. Maybe it's because it's been like a decade of this process that people just assume it's not going to happen. There's also like a small fraction of people who are kind of like the SBF isn't going to prison people. Like, oh, the government, the Dems are going to deny this. Guys, SBF's going to prison. He did. And or get an ETF. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Guys, this isn't a jumpsuit. It's from LL Bean. Calm down. Orange is my favorite color before Bitcoin was in inception. Okay. Man. Leave my orange pullover alone. Anyway, we're going to get, what, 13 of these plus Grayscale? It's going to be interesting what actually happens when these launch, because inevitably things are going to pop up, unknown unknowns, where, there's going to be issues with the discount. There's going to be issues with like the plumbing and the mechanics and the whole like cash versus in kind and blah, 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 and whatever. That's not any of our concern, obviously, but the oddities on here are two things. Coinbase being the custodian for a majority of these. I don't know if that's going to last. Good for coin, bad for us. And then Fidelity is the issuer, the index provider, and the custodian for the Fidelity Bitcoin ETF. That seems very weird to me. I don't know how that's legal, but it is what it is. The other thing about these dates, as far as like getting all the dates lined up so the comment periods end on Friday, and there's this window next week where everything can be approved. Grayscale doesn't have a date. It has a court ruling that says stuff needs to happen. So stuff needs to happen. I don't know, but I'm glad people are still like ho-hum about this, because it tells me that not everybody's like positioned for it, which I think is hilarious. There are still people who are like in denial and not allocated appropriately. They're busy playing around with bonk or whatever else. Who the hell knows at this point? Yeah, if you guys want me to look at anything, just let me know. What's up, Kamandala? I put it in the Discord. I put it on Twitter. These guys were yelling at me because they thought they wanted me to start early. And here's somebody else saying, look, there's no notification. See, this is why we started too, guys. This is why we started too. James put together a flow report for really, I guess, the year. Great year for inflows. Going to be super interested in what this looks like this year. He put together a multi-year version. That one thing that immediately popped out to me was obviously the Bitcoin versus the world differential in inflows. I know we're crypto natives. I know everybody's like super excited about other ETFs, but the global excitement for those products is basically zero. So keep that in mind. That'll change. It can change. Things happen. But the flows for non-Bitcoin products since 2021 has been zero. For anything outside of Bitcoin and including ETH, it's been decent, but the flows here are not great. That could change. Bitcoin in the US could usher in all sorts of capital for all sorts of products, but just keep that in mind. The other thing that I noticed, which I thought was hilarious, the short Bitcoin product had 60 million in inflows, and it almost had as much as the Ethereum products. Just kind of funny. And the Solana products had 2x, over 2x the ETH flows. So the institutional folks are kind of already picking a new second horse in the race, at least in the moment. Those flows certainly eclipsed Ethereum in 2022 as well. So interesting. Will we see a new leader this year? I don't know. I doubt it. I don't know what else. I don't think Solana gets approved until Gary's out of the SEC. But some of these, Solana, Binance, Cardano, DOT, the SEC is not going to approve those, I don't think. I think it's going to be tough to get Ethereum to the finish line. But anyway, these are the flows. They look good. They look good for Bitcoin. These are the global flows all over the place, which is what you want to see. US leading the world. Some flows in Canada. The question obviously is like, what do you expect the flows to be this year? It's good in a sense that we're getting these at the beginning of the year, because then we can kind of use it as a gauge throughout the year versus previous years. But this is going to be super important. This is something everybody needs to be paying attention to every week, because this is like, Tether printing $1 billion twice in 10 days. It's super important. We're nothing without our flows. And this should have an effect on the spot side, obviously. Majority in BTC. Majority of people, hold on, I have this somewhere. Here it is. Less than half of advisors expect a spot Bitcoin ETF. Ain't nobody got any of this stuff. Nobody's wanted to touch this. The people that have done it individually. They've gone out to say, I want to do self-custody, I want to do whatever else. So, let's just see how the Bitcoin ETF stuff sorts itself out before we get excited about Ethereum. Because I know people, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, can we not have one thing and celebrate that one thing first before like moving on and figuring out if it works? Not only that, but the ETH stuff isn't even going to be staked. It's just such a bad product. I don't know what to say. This is something else that popped up this week. Some of the largest hedge funds in the world, at least in the US, I guess, their full year returns did not beat the S&P, certainly didn't beat Bitcoin, didn't beat most things. They beat the risk-free rate of whatever that is, 5.25, I guess you could call it. But not by much. They're protecting you from volatility, from drawdown. It's different at sizes that are out of comprehension in the billions. But it's just kind of odd to see like the returns be this low. I don't know. We don't get days like yesterday in crypto without the massive upside, right? We're here for the volatility. We're young. Most of us, we embrace it. We understand it. That's going to be an educational part of getting the Bitcoin ETFs sold to people. But you can't have, the 100% plus years without some 10% down days. Okay, so just get ready for that. Some people saying that the volatility might compress with all these other products. That might be the case, but not on the alt side. Not the alt side, who the heck knows, right? And all this is just more evidence to say ETFs are coming. I don't know what to tell people. What are you going to say when the ETFs are here? Are you going to still be in denial? But again, that's good. Consensus is sell the news. Consensus is it's priced in. Consensus is it won't happen. What is going on? One of the other issues the SEC was worried about was overseas trading dominance for Bitcoin. And that's, they killed Binance. They killed BitMEX. They're not going to touch Tether because Tether has a bunch of US treasuries, at least in the moment. I don't think Tether can continue to grow without some regulatory oversight beyond what they have now, which is basically nothing in the US. But this looks good. This is what they wanted. Okay, we have it. We're here. we're setting the world, we're setting the price for the world on Bitcoin, and that's only going to continue to grow with the ETFs. It's also good that we saw volume really ramp up at the end of the year. You never want to see prices flat or prices up with flat volume, right? So it's still weird to me how bearish people are on the Bitcoin ETF stuff. I don't really get it. I don't really get it personally, but anyway. All right, let me check chat for a second. Make sure there's not any alpha leaking out. Making fun of me, making fun of the microphone. Okay. Is it possible to look at leveraged long-short prediction to predict where the wick might go? So this was something I mentioned. Let me try to bring this up. I think it was the Monday video. I said funding was quite high. Don't be surprised if something happens or something to that effect. Funding came way down, right? You know, regardless of what Marcus at Matrixport has to say about the ETFs, which is hilarious that he, I don't know. Again, what are these people paying attention to? Like, you have all these issuers filing all this paperwork, all these forms. I don't know what to tell people. Yeah, it can get denied, sure, and I can get hit by a car when I cross the street, but that's not likely to happen. Funding was super high, funding was super hot, so I said that would act as a headwind for everything. So it's news catalysts like the Matrixport stuff that have a massive effect on the market when funding is like it was. That's just, you know, there's already people looking to hunt those longs. So it's a news catalyst. It's like the market structure of funding. All that's reset for the most part. I don't really see anything. I mean, funding's getting hot again, but we're leading into a news catalyst, so that makes sense to me. The one I really like, though, is Coinalyze. They have... What you really want to see is funding rate over time. I'm trying to pull up the actual chart. I care less about what the funding is right now versus like what has it been over the past year? What has it been over the past 4 years? Why can't I find this? So to me, no, that's not what I want. Open interest funding. So they have funding, they have liquidations. It uses TradingView, but I think it's a paid service as well. If you want to check it out, it's free though to use. Anyway, we had, I think I saw some crazy stat of like 400 million in liquidations or something. It's hard to really know because some of that is on DeFi, and anyway, it was a big spike, obviously. We've Dalai Lama'd most of that at this point. Still looks good. Looking at the funding rate though, you know, you can zoom way out on this. The funding is the funding, right? If you're bullish, the funding rate's not going to stop me from opening a position that I've analyzed and figured out, and it's just like, it's part of the game, right? You're going to pay funding occasionally, unless you're directly playing the funding game, where you're, you know, getting some interest yield or whatever on funding. It is what it is. What gave me caution Monday was that funding was at a multi-year high, I guess, multi-month, right? You know, we're bullish, but I don't know if we're that bullish, right? Something else to pay attention to is the futures premiums. Let me pull up that one too. That's a normal part of markets, okay? If the markets are bullish, futures will be bullish. Here's the futures curve. You have on the calendar, weekly, bi-weekly, March, June, September, you know, it goes way out till 2025. I think that I saw, if we pull up the CME. Let me just find it real quick. If we pull up the CME futures, right? Like they've got December 2025 expiration is currently at 49.5. Okay. So whatever that percentage is the 2-year future? I don't even know what that would be. Anyway, there's futures, there's funding, there's premiums, there's contango, there's backwardation. All that's normal part of the futures curve. That's what you expect to see if we're bullish. So that shouldn't like scare you out of a position. It's just you have to be mindful of the funding costs, right? Anyway, funding was high, funding was hot. Whatever, it is what it is. We wiped a bunch of OI, had a bunch of liquidations. I think that's super healthy, especially leading into a news catalyst. Approval is good, launch is bad, says Goku. Yeah, I had that chart from... I kind of stole somebody else's chart and then remade it as my own. That was the TLDR though. The TLDR was launches have been bearish. Approvals have not been bearish. This is the chart. I saw Alex talking about this a couple days ago. Then I found another version of this chart and added some other stuff. But the initial approval, I don't think is going to be that bearish. I think it's going to be super bullish. We've been bullish on the news since June. Again, like, I don't know what to tell people. Like, they're still in denial that this is not going to happen. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Anyway, it's happening. Sorry, naysayers. Point of this chart is, though, on the launch day, which may be like a week after the approval, it might be next, what would it be, like middle of January? Anyway, by that time we might be bearish on price, but we'll see. Long term, massively bullish long term. Keep losing the... Do I have a PO box that you can send me gifts? No, but I guess I could make one. What are you gonna send me? Gonna send me something that explodes in the mail? What are you gonna do? I was surprised today. I thought everyone was on the same page with the ETF, but some more normie friends are certain it won't. Yeah, there's so many people. I know I've said it 17 times already, but so many people thinking it's not going to happen. I don't know. Okay. See you next week. See you in middle of January. JP Morgan saying, okay. Yeah, backed. I know, who remembers backed? Big institutions, yeah. Yeah, so I agree. It depends on the macro stuff. I was going to talk about that next. It depends on the macro stuff. We're probably going to get a recession this year. It's probably going to be ugly. That's not going to help us. But we've got some time. So back to a few legacy things real quick. Reverse repo continues to get drained. We're bullish as long as this is draining. We're bullish as long as there's the piggy bank to be drained. You know, we're shaking out that piggy bank, filling the TGA. So as long as that continues, we have liquidity to pump into the ecosystem. That's bullish. A question a lot of people have is what's going to happen with the BTFP come the end of the first quarter? Are they really going to close this down? A lot of people thinking no. There's also some shenanigans here that the banks are making money by using the BTFP as not its intended purpose, which is not a good look for the BTFP, the Fed, or banks. So I suspect they're going to either shut it down or change it. So we'll see. I don't want to say we want things bad to happen, because we don't, but it's getting to the point where it's so inevitable that some sort of recession is happening that we just need to get it over with, you know. Like, sure, it might be a soft landing. We might be cutting rates because real rates are too high above inflation. I don't know if we're too restrictive. Who's to say? It doesn't feel like we're too restrictive. It doesn't feel like inflation is getting better because pricing is not getting better. It's just the speed at which prices are rising has slowed down, right? So none of that feels better. The Fed just has to not blow things up on purpose, at least try not to. But unemployment is still quite low. We're going to get those numbers at the end of this week. We get a CPI print next week. But yeah, I expect the Fed to cut just because everything's way above inflation at this point. If they want to stay this restrictive, sure. Trueflation somewhere around 2%. So that's pretty good. We're getting there. We're slowly getting there, but we're getting there. So everything looks good on the Fed front. Certainly don't expect them to raise rates. Not yet. They might raise if inflation comes back up, but that's not what the numbers are suggesting here. So yeah, I wouldn't expect the Fed to raise rates personally. Do I think Powell resigns before the election? I mean, he could. Why would he want to deal with, I mean, does anybody want to deal with Trump? Let's be honest. Like, if Trump wins, does anybody want to deal with that guy? He already dealt with him once. Powell's pretty old, right? Powell's also very rich. So just ride off into the sunset. You did your job. I don't know what the odds are on Powell retiring are, but I'd imagine pretty high. This is one of the reasons why I think the recession's inevitable. Yield curve's still inverted. Hasn't uninverted yet, but it probably will this year. So that's something to watch for along with unemployment. It's just month by month here. We're just watching the data. I wouldn't listen to the doomers because that didn't help you last year. Did not help you at all last year. The doomers are going to say that they were right for the past 3 years when they've been wrong. And, this is just inevitable at this point. So just be careful who's in your ear about markets. And while we're on legacy stuff, gold still looks fine. I just wouldn't trade this. I don't know why you would even pay attention to it. I look at it because people ask me about it. But on technicals, this looks great. So I don't think we want gold to explode higher because that would mean problems, probably. But this looks good for a natural move higher throughout the year. And we're going to have to deal with Peter Schiff screaming about all-time highs again. Who, by the way, thinks ETFs are going to bring bearishness for Bitcoin. So that should be fun. Let me just round this out with the holistic. We've got reverse repo, high yield, junk bond stuff, euro, S&P. We're still headed in the right direction. S&P has calmed down, as is probably naturally what needs to happen after 9 straight weeks of up. I don't think this is like a bearish reversal risk. It's just it didn't hit the all-time high. People are going to say that's bearish. People are going to say the Mag 7 is rolling over. That's bearish. What else can I say? Breadth got better. I don't know. Like, we're just chilling at all-time highs. Sure, I'll take it. It was a bear div. It was 9 straight weeks of up. That's fine. Qs look fine to me. It makes sense that we're giving some back. This is another reason why it's very hard to push into resistance like this. Usually what you want to see is consolidation at resistance. This is something to pay attention to for Bitcoin at its all-time high. If we consolidate for a month at 60 plus, then I'm much more optimistic. If we try for 60 plus on the ETF announcement, I think that's going to be very tough. Very, very tough. Then lastly, Dixie. Dixie also bouncing quite a bit on the New Year rollover. kind of an odd looking chart. But I think the general direction for DXY is still going to be down. All right, we'll come back to crypto equities. FBTD asks me about a specific chart that I will look at because he has paid me to do so. So keep that in mind. TET, here we go. Didn't we try to pull this up last time and I kept pulling up the wrong chart? Is that the ticker? I don't even know if that's the ticker. Is that right? The thing on most of these charts, you know, I said this a lot last week and the week before, there's nothing to do. Like, you can do what I did and trade Solana from measured move to measured move and have a lot of pain and anguish and regret. Or you can just let this thing do its thing. I'm not talking to BFTD specifically, but just in general. Is it on Coinbase? I didn't see it on the list for Coinbase. I don't see it. Lido's another one. ARB is another one. INJ, IMX, whatever it is. Those are some other ones. These are at basically all-time high price discovery. Just let it do its thing. Are you going to see some nasty 25% pullback eventually? Sure. Unless you're trading this on leverage, what do you care? But this is, if we go down to like the 2 hour or something, there's a lot of this ascending triangle stuff on charts. So this should keep pushing 30, 34. I think that's reasonable. If this is the correct chart, I hope so. I just don't see it on the list, right? Am I blind? Maybe I'm blind. Bitfinex. Here's your goal. Here's your goal for the next 2 years. Don't blow up. That's your goal. That's all you got to do. Don't blow up. Trade your memes and your leverage, but don't do it with your whole stack. Come back to this. Put this chart on your wall behind you, on your vision board. These are what some of the smartest minds in the country, in the world. This is their return for 2023. Okay. And you're worried about the difference between a 500x and a 550x. So just simmer down a little bit. Right? How's the bonk $10 million guy doing? Is he still up or is he down 60, 70%? Anyway, trade your book, do whatever you want. I'm just saying, do it smart. Don't do it stupid. So I hope this is the right chart. Sorry. But things look good. We can go to Bitcoin because that's why we're all here. Let's be honest. Without Bitcoin, where would we be? So you can see the Marcus funding candle. And man, have there been a lot of people. So the people in the know have been long for a while. I was one of those people, right? I was long, I think I was long from like the 21st. I got stopped out here. I would not have closed at 45. So I would have been stopped out again on that for sure, regardless. Excuse me. I didn't read long. I wasn't awake on that down move. Not that I don't think it's going to keep going. I just think we're going to see volatility anyway. You're better off sitting in spot, most likely. So where do I think this could go? Just based on the ascending triangle, 48 is definitely on the table. If we zoom way out and we look at the cloud, we've never been this bullish before having and stayed this bullish. It's never happened. If there's one thing that could change the course of history, change the course of the future, it would be an ETF, certainly. But if we look at, You know, lots of people talked about it. I talk about it like every week. This is where we're at in history. We are pre-COVID down move, pre-Bitfinex hack. That's where we are right now. We can put on the old vertical line here, and it's what, April 15th is halving? Right, that's where halving is going to be. This is what the charts look like post halving, because you know post halving's priced in, bro. ETFs, that's priced in, bro. It's not. Sorry. Even if we only go down after halving, it's still not priced in. I don't care what people say. So your job is not to blow up. Your job is to be at the table for this great opportunity that Satoshi has set before us. Okay? The flows are going to be bullish. The sentiment and attitudes are changing. Government debt is not getting any better. You know, you can list off 30 reasons why this is bullish. So I would be careful between now and halving. Generally, I'm not your dad, I get it, but you know, the people on the right that are left curving this, there's this guy on GMX who's completely left curving this. He's just added collateral repeatedly, ate like $1.5 million in funding. He's just like, I do not care. I think this is going up. He's currently like almost 4 million in collateral long at like 8x. Dude is serious. You can do that, but your odds of blowing up are high because of candles like we saw yesterday, right? So just be careful. We've never gone above the 618 of the previous down move in the bear market. So again, that would be 50. What would be generous? We'll call it 50, 48 to 50. And then there's VPVR stuff to pay attention to as far as where volume is at for support resistance. If we zoom in. So if we close the day at 48 on day one, I'm super bullish. So keep in mind, we've got the approvals probably coming. Let's do it on the 2-day. We've got the approvals coming by the 11th, right? We'll just call it 11th. And then we've got the launch probably the week after. We'll call it the 22nd or something. Okay. So we could totally see this where we spike to 50, sell off on the launch, and then kind of drift and do a bunch of nothing in Q1. I could even see dipping to like 30s. I don't know. What's the yearly pivot, right? Yearly pivot's 34.5. I could totally see that. Because we always have had some sort of bearish move pre-halving, around halving. It's going to take time for these people to get the flows. You know, there's going to be a lot of excitement on the first week as people who are already ready to buy this get in. Hearts and minds will then have to be changed, and people have to be sold this product and convinced. So it's going to take some time. So this is probably my most likely scenario. I think my least likely scenario is like something like this, right? Where we kind of like just sell off and then sell off some more and then sell off again. I think that's probably the least likely path. 30, 28, well, we'll say the 30s, 30 to 36, 30 to 32. That's where we'd want to live if this is a strictly sell the news launch. I think more likely than a straight sell the news, but less likely than my first path would be something like this, where we just, you know, keep marking up. If we go to like the weekly, I'm going to assume we don't hold on to highs after the launch, after the approval, because there's people like this guy in GMX, right, who are just waiting for the news catalyst. I assume those people are profit takers in the short term. I could be wrong, but that's what I would do, right? If I'm mega super long, I would be taking profit early, and that's going to limit our upside. That's going to act as our headwind. I'm assuming, right? If I'm wrong on that, we stay at highs, we stay at 50s or higher, and then keep going. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think it's more likely than selling off and then selling off and then selling off. I still think the most likely path is something in the weekly cloud, right? The most likely to me is that we try to pop up to 50, can't hold those levels, and then kind of drift back down to like, I don't know, whatever the weekly Kijun is going to be. I just think there's a lot of I keep thinking of sexual metaphors, okay, but there's a lot of like build up, there's a lot of foreplay to this move. That's where my head's at anyway. But I hope I'm wrong. I just don't know how much can be sustained above 50. But we're going to hear about it on the news if it does, right? Everybody and their mother is going to know that we're above 50, we're close to all-time highs. Then everyone's going to be looking at all-time highs. And then if we make an all-time high, which I think we will within the next 2 years, then everyone's going to be looking at six figures. I mean, that's the natural psychological next spot. So let's just get the show on the road here, get this figured out, and let the alts, that's just Bitcoin, right? Alts could just, it kind of scares me where some of these could go, because they've been so compressed for so long. I think they could really just fly. A weird like fringe chart like this is comp. I wouldn't throw all your money at this. I'm not telling you to follow me on this trade, okay? But this is the type of chart where weird stuff happens. It's like that link chart. This is 2 years of sideways. Not that this needs to go up or has a reason. I just like how this looks. I don't know. Anyway, Bitcoin still looks fine though. It's good that we flushed out all that leverage. It's good that we retraced all that. It's good that people still don't think the ETF is going to happen. I don't know. We hit the daily Kijun-ish. It's kind of beating myself up over not having a bid down there. Realistically, if you're not in a position, you should always have something on the books somewhere to some degree based on your system, I would think. So the Kijun was screaming at us for weeks. We never touched it. We did on that wick-ish. I just don't think it would have been filled on that. Anyway, not all the alts look as good as Bitcoin do, though. Bitcoin does. Something else to think about for BTC on that sell the news squiggle, sell the launch squiggle, I guess you could call it. Right, so let's say we pop up to our target. I think there's going to be a ton of profit taking anywhere close to 50. Just ton, a metric ton. There's going to be a wall of selling. Like there's going to be so much selling up here. I think it's going to be a lot of selling. That's the key. Do we survive at 50? If we don't, I really think we try to go down here. I don't know if that'll materialize, but I do think we try to go back to the 30s. Not because I want to get filled or I'm bearish because I'm contrarian. That's what the TA would say next. Like, look, if we fail to hold the highs, then we're going to mean revert through the daily cloud. This is a large daily cloud. This is a large cloud. So I would not get afraid if that happens. I'm certainly look, I'm buying in with both hands and all organs the entire cycle. So if you have any organs left at the end of this year, you're doing it wrong. If all your organs are not replaced, if your cornea is not surgically implanted, okay, you're doing it wrong. Your fingernails, can you donate fingernails? I don't think you can. Anyway, super bullish. Things look bullish. Things look great. Rising tide raises all boats, as they're saying in the chat. I agree. Looks good. Looks really, really good. We kind of, by selling off like that, we kind of erase that mindset of, oh, we have to reset funding still. Well, we did. Okay, we reset funding. 70 IQ people saying it was priced in. Not only do people think it's not going to happen, so it can't be priced in, but people don't even know what Bitcoin is still. Still don't know what it is. Capo said the same. Oh God, are we in the same trade as Capo? I hope not. 48 to 50, then 12. That would be, yeah. Unironically, 33K by July, maybe. Q2 should be bullish though. So I don't know about that one. I won't be touching your corneas. You will be donating them for money to buy more Bitcoin. All right, so that's Bitcoin. I don't think anything else matters, like on trend or on lower time frames. To me, the only thing that matters is this pattern that we've kind of been in, right? We were just in one. The market should know what to do here with this. If, right, there's one there, we had one down here. The market should know what to do with this. I'm expecting this to be very bullish, very, very bullish. Haven't talked about the miners yet, we'll get there. All right, that's Bitcoin. ETH, ETH has tried. Let's go to a clean chart. I think you've got kind of two types of people. You've got people who've been holding ETH since 4K. And then you've got people who don't even care about ETH anymore. I think there's those kind of people left in this world. ETH, by the way, does better after Bitcoin's halving. So you got to keep that in mind. ETH's still working on its own ascending triangle. I just think it's a cursed chart at this point. There's going to be stronger, better, faster stuff moving. So it's going to be hard for ETH to grab people's attention until we get closer to the ETH ETF news, whatever that is going to be. So yeah, will this move with Bitcoin on the day? Probably, but I don't think it's going to keep up with Bitcoin on the day. ETH BTC, just as people are in denial about the Bitcoin ETF, people are in denial that this looks bearish or is bearish. I don't know what planet these people are on. You tell me when an M double top is ever bullish. Look, things could change, but this is not a bullish picture. Sorry, it's just not. This is, you want some vanilla TA on this. Take the low, take the high. That's an even more bearish target than I'm comfortable calling. I like 033-ish. I like whatever this head and shoulders breakout was. I just know there's so much hopium on this chart still. I just don't get it. The narratives haven't played out yet. Doesn't mean they won't. But this whole ultrasound money thing, it's not looking great for ETH. I don't know what to tell people. Doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. All right, where do we want to go next? Do we want to go straight to random stuff? Let's stay in the ETH ecosystem, I guess. OP, R, Blido. All these charts are kind of some variation of the ETH chart. So if you're bullish on these other coins, you just have to be bullish ETH as well. which people are bullish ETH. It's just that hasn't helped the price. The price is just stagnated, right? ARB looks good. OP looks good. I don't know if this is actually an all-time high for ARB. I don't know where it was first listed. I'm pretty sure it is an all-time high. Okay, yeah, definitely an all-time high. Looks good. What do you do with this chart? Nothing. What is there to do? Let it run. We're at the beginning of a cycle. Is it early? Some of this stuff is running in the cycle, yeah, but we also have ETFs, we have news. That's going to pull some of this excitement forward a little bit. It looks fine. It survived yesterday and went higher. I don't think a lot of people are freaking out about this anyway, but you know, this down here was something. We'll call it inverted head and shoulders maybe. We're way past that target. We're at the yearly pivot. I don't know. It looks very strong to me. I don't think I'd buy it up here, but it looks good. And then the Dino DeFi stuff all looks fine to me. If you are convinced that this stuff is going higher, there's nothing to do. You know, you buy lows and you keep buying and you just sit in it. There's nothing to do. SNX looks fine. Aave looks fine. Comp I already talked about. That one looks fine. The Filecoin, let's just keep going down the list. Looks fine, right? There's nothing. There's no additional analysis to be done here, really. Link is one I'm kind of concerned about on the lower time frames. It does have this triple toppy nature to it. I don't think you can be bearish with a positive news catalyst for the ecosystem, but it doesn't look like it wants to go higher right now. It will with the news, but you know, stuff that looks like that, I'm a little less bullish on in the moment. Rune as well. Rune doesn't look happy to be here. You know, Rune looks like it's ready to go home. It's ready to go below 4 at some point. Until this makes a higher high at 6, the bias is definitely bearish. So I would keep that in mind for charts that look like Rune or Link. What else is in the ETH ecosystem that people are looking at? Matic, I guess. And like, look, these charts look fine. What are you gonna do next? You know, they look more bullish than they have for the past couple of years. Just let it be, right? There's nothing to do here. I don't know. There might be people concerned about some leverage position or something, but generally there's nothing to do. And if we look at all the layer ones, I kind of already said in a few different ways, I think Sol is overbought beyond most other coins. It may continue to outperform, but it's going to be harder that Sol keeps outperforming relative to some of this other stuff, especially if the ETH ecosystem wakes up. Yeah, we looked at Lido, right? Maybe not directly, but it looks just like ETH, you know? This should keep going. All of them should keep going. Everything should keep going. We're in bull market season between now and April 2025. So are you going to see violent pullbacks? Sure. But there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. There just isn't anything to do. I think maybe you look at, I can't come out here each week and say there's nothing to do. I know that, but maybe you look at relative value stuff. Sol ETH still looks decently strong. Maybe you look at like the layer 2 relative value question. It's the wrong chart. Binance. Kraken, sure. Like the difference between RBOP, the difference between the layer ones. That might help some relative value questions. I don't know, there's just not much else to do, right? You buy the dips and you hold. Welcome to a bull market. Even ADA on the weekly doesn't look excited to be here. Those wicks are not pretty, right? But it looks okay on trend. It looks fine. I don't expect all of these to just topple over unless there's some regulatory problem. But this kind of looks like Link, Rune, you know, just needs some time. But it looks fine. You know, looks fine. Let's look at DOT, same thing. This is why you spend so much time analyzing a sideways boring nothing market, is so that when we get to this point, it's just, you know, you're just sitting back and watching it play out. So all these still look like fine entries on any of these coins. INJ, you know, stuff like this, you got to be careful. Because it's had such a run, it's in price discovery. You know, I don't hate it at any price if it's just going to keep running. But at some point, it's going to hit a natural resistance level. You just got to be smart about rotations, patience. I don't know. I feel like I'm saying a bunch of nothing, but I don't think there's much generally to think about. AVAX. Let's go to Binance. AVAX maybe looks the angriest out of everything on the layer one side, just because again it's up 500% in like 3 months last quarter. Yeah, it's going to take some time to recoup the momentum and reset. Looks okay. For the long haul, I would just rather, you know, I talked about this in one of the videos. If you look at all these clouds stacked up against each other, sure, you can let the winners ride, hold that. You know, I wouldn't rotate your entire stack or anything, but I just think there's better places to allocate fresh capital. We'll put it like that. We'll make it sound important and legitimate. Avoid the absolute death dinosaurs like Zcash and look for other stuff that looks good. Look for other stuff that looks good. Just rotate around. You know, Sol can't make 10,000% moves every year. Something else is going to take its place this year. I think that's very likely. ETC is another one. At this point, I'm just shilling my bags, but it looks fine. No reason to exist. I hate the coin, but looks fine. What else haven't we talked about? Tia I never bought. I talked about buying it a while back. It's cracking the best chart for that. This one hit an all-time high today, I think, too, right? It looks fine. I just don't know what to do with charts like this, right? If it is the darling of the cycle, just hold it. You know, hold it until next quarter and reassess. I don't think there's anything to do at all. All right, let me look at some of these alts that people are shouting out. Then we'll get to miners and equities and whatnot. Oh boy, I swear some of these tickers people just make up. And they try to watch me squirm. Yeah, as Berg is asking about ADA ETH, right? I think that's where most of the alpha is going to be in the remainder of the early part of this cycle, is rotational strength between charts. 88 ETH looks angry to me. Looks like we're swinging back towards ETH's favor. So it depends on how much you want to rotate around, how many taxable events you want to incur, that sort of thing. All right, let's look at some of these other charts. Tia, I talked about Ordi. I know I asked this like 2 streams ago, but this thing has no bearing on like reality, right? Like the amount of NFTs minted doesn't make price go up or anything. I think it's just doing its own thing. It looks okay. I just don't know what, fundamentals tell you what to buy, technicals tell you when to buy. It helps to have some fundamental outlook here as far as what's going on. If it's just a straight meme coin, sure. I don't know. Let's look at Bonk. If we're talking about meme coins. Is it on? I always forget the best. Is it Pith? It's not a pretty chart on linear. Tell you that much. That is a rough looking chart. We're down a cool 65% from the highs on Bonk. So I would rotate, here's the TLDR. I would rotate heavily out of things that have moved well last year. I would not stay in them this year, personally. Solana can do what Solana did because it was down so much, right? If we go back to this in, let's go line, last year, Solana was able to do what it did because it retraced so heavily from the highs. It's still down from the all-time high significantly. And I know people have a short-term goldfish memory, but that's why it was able to do what it did, right? So I would look for charts that are setting themselves up for something similar. You can have conviction, blah, 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 I get it. You're a soul maxi or whatever you are. But I wouldn't expect it the same year for Solana or the same year for AVAX, you know? I think some of this other stuff's going to start to move this year. Yeah, I'm probably not the guy to get alpha on these alts from, admittedly, but I know enough about enough that it's easier to pump stuff like this, which that's got to be all-time highs, right? I mean, that's just a straight, what do you do with that? There's nothing for me to say. This looks like Bonk, right? Because Bonk had this falling wedge thing, and then it just that was the coin, and then it kept going. I'm kind of curious what coins like Aptos do this year, just because nobody talks about them, nobody cares about them, yet they're still quietly doing pretty well. Same thing with Sui. Like just these other layer 1 networks that nobody, at least in the US, I don't think talks about. They're not really in baskets of products. They don't really have a DeFi ecosystem. What's going on, you know? They're not going to like go to zero, but are they worth paying attention to is the question. Why would you buy weak coins? I agree. I would rather buy strength than weakness. Another question for the year is if AI is going to remain the dominant narrative. You know, the canary for the coal mine is NVIDIA. And if NVIDIA looks strong, the AI narrative is probably strong. If NVIDIA starts to roll over, then say goodnight to your AI coins, most likely. This, I don't know how to read NVIDIA, honestly. It's tough because it's still, to me, it still looks toppy, even though the evidence isn't quite there yet for toppiness on NVIDIA. It's funny that the support pivot's at 380. But if you're bullish, you know, this is all I can really see is some sort of diamond. If this starts to break down below the cloud, then I would be careful with your AI coins. But right now it looks fine. The AI coins just need NVIDIA not to sell off. I forget what IMX is. Is it INJ? That's the AI coin? I don't know. But the entire AI narrative kind of rests on NVIDIA doing well. So I would watch that one like a hawk if you're deep in the AI stuff. BitDAO asks Philip, is that a thing? I don't know what the ticker for that is. Oh, it's just Bit. It's right there in my face. I'm not a fan of DAO anything, so I wouldn't listen to me, but that is not a chart that I would touch. I would not touch this. Looks way too volatile and all over the place. Kind of reminds me of BAT a little bit. Nah. Anyway. There's lots of stuff that looks like it could do well, right? FTM, I know we've talked about a bunch. I just think you pick your 10 best looking charts or narratives or whatever, and you stick to that. Maybe you play the rotation game from quarter to quarter. Otherwise, you just let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. Say and Sui. Yeah, we looked at that. Say versus Sui. Okay. I mean, this is the game you need to play if you want to be honest about positions. Say versus Sui. Yeah, I mean, this looks really strong. Looks really, really strong. I don't really have anything to say, but it looks very good for Say. Is Say a layer 1? I should probably look that up. FET. What do we got on here? Oh, I was talking about this this thing, right? Yeah, I mean, this thing could do really well. It looks like it wants to break out. That's probably all-time highs at that point, isn't it? Measures to like 180. Uni and Sushi also look really good. Okay, maybe not really good, but they look good. Put it like that. Sushi. I just, I don't know why you would want to touch this stuff right now. For me, it makes more sense to play the news. If you're going to be this like hyper rotation person, play the news in BTC to some degree. Rotate out of that within the first week. Play the alts. and then see where the chips go from there. Say is a layer 1 Cosmos. Okay, thank you. AKT. Yeah, that looks really good. It is past its cup and handle target. I think this is one we talked about. You know, if you want to learn like what does markup phase look like and why coffee in a post accumulation, this is it. You know, this is like textbook accumulation, breakout, reaccumulation, breakout, continuation pattern, breakout. Looks good. Looks really good. Looks really, really good. I would gravitate towards charts that look like that and avoid charts that look like this, you know. Even LTC, I just don't know why. Why? Just why? There's just so many better looking charts than this. This could go to 10,000, but it looks like garbage right here. Sorry, it's on support. I'll give you that. But why? There's just so many better things to be quote unquote trading if you're going to trade an alt. So I would avoid that kind of thing. Any other alts to look at before we switch to legacy? QS? What is QS? QuantumScape? Bro, are you in the right stream? I'm kidding. This is legacy, right? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Comp. SQ also looks very good to me. Also in the cloud. Also crypto adjacent. Looks good. Flow and Palantir, sure. Flow. Yeah. I mean, look, it's been down only for 2.5 years. If you're gonna shoot your shot, now's the time. You know, like this is like the ETC chart. It looks better here than it has in the past, basically since inception. It looks the best it's ever looked. We'll put it like that. The best it's ever looked. The best shave a man can get. No, it looks really good. I don't know where this goes. You can always measure high to low and hope for 21. Look at this chart on linear. Oh man. Oh no. Is this some NFT network? I can't remember. I think it is, right? Yeah, it looks the best it's looked in a long time. If it's gonna actually have a chance. Now is the time. Within the next year, I would imagine. Doge, okay, sorry. Yeah, I mean Doge is another one. You can sit here till you're blue in the face, hoping this thing goes up, willing this thing up, but you just have to be patient. It is almost in the weekly cloud, but it's not quite there yet. So are you going to get trounced on a relative value pair to some other coin that's making all-time highs? Probably yes. Probably yes. But it still looks okay. JPM, what's up? It still looks okay. FLX. Is FLX... See, now I gotta play this game. Is it a crypto coin or is it legacy? Flow is where you send your money to die. I mean, that's what the chart looks like, Avi. The chart looks abysmal. Metis. All these DAOs. Can we all agree collectively to just never touch a DAO token, please? I don't know what this is. Chart looks okay. Looks parabolic. I just would not touch a DAO token. Kami, I think Doge is more of an inverted and shoulders in the making. Let's go to Coinbase, I guess. I would hope for, see, now I've got a pink marker. I need to change that. I would hope for something like that over the next couple months. So look, you just have to be patient. I don't think this is a cup and handle. I think there's very clearly a neckline there. There's very clearly support down here. I would buy anything in this range and hope for, what's 50% just from the Coinbase listing? If this thing goes to 20 cents, that would be a miracle. So 27 is a lot. 10 cents is the breakout level. So keep that in mind. Yeah, Sui I looked at a couple times. What I was saying is, like, why do these exist? What's going on with them? Why are they listed? What are they doing? Who are the devs? Do they have DeFi? Do they have NFTs? Do they have anything going on for them? Do they have stable coins? Why do they need to exist? I don't know. Yeah, Kami, just you just gotta be patient. If you've got conviction on an alt and it looks for good and it's not making lows, you just gotta be patient. You gotta be patient. FLX is CETA? I do not see that ticker anywhere. Sorry. Don't see it. Yes, Moof, you can ask about XRP without being banned. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a little look here. You know, Ripple to me looks like Litecoin, where it's holding a support level, a diagonal support. I just think there's so many better things to be trading than Ripple. Realistically, where does this go? Does this end up being some massive harmonic? Maybe. But I just think it's going to underperform. What is the, here's a good one. XRP BTC. What does that look like? Looks like death. Looks like absolute death to me. I would, here's some alpha, you ready? I would pay attention to Ripple down here. I think that's where it goes. I don't think this goes higher. This level to me, historically, is the level where people start to care about Ripple. Current level says lower to me. ACXUSD, okay, sure. I like that it's reconsolidating. How do people find these? Like, are people, here's a question for chat. When you look for new stuff to get into, are you just trading, are you trading the ticker? Do you know something about this protocol? Did you hear about it on, like, YouTube? What, is it just because it's listed on some weird exchange? Like, what tells somebody to trade something like this? I assume unit bias plays a big role, right? Like, you're super deep on this, or it pops up on a list one day because it's up a bajillion %. Now, there ain't nothing wrong with playing the penny stocks. I'm just asking. Is there a sex token? There could be. I don't know. GMX, sure. What did you say? You said inverse head and shoulders? Paperclip? I'll be damned. My old notes agree with you. Ty Lopez tells you what's good. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of when people are saying random letters in a 3-letter string. Yes, this looks like an inverted head and shoulders to me. This looks really good. Where could this go? What is the 50%? We'll say conservatively, that's the 50%. Okay. Measured move of the head and shoulders is... I think Arthur is actually like balls deep in this, isn't he? So the head and shoulders basically measures to all-time high retest. Looks good. I don't hate it. Come on now, Maskey. Come on. Found it from the listening to the founder on Blockworks. Okay, so podcasts, media, that sort of thing. Love to. Trade on Kraken browsing charts. Okay. Scan tickers, check cloud, move on. I mean, that makes sense, Keith. That makes sense. DCA is a fine strategy. All right, let's switch to crypto stuff. GBTC, probably relevant. Certainly relevant for me. Most people are going to do better literally doing nothing. Just do nothing, watch the news happen, clap your hands, move on with your day. What you don't want to do is start like overly rotating between a bunch of stuff, over trading this. The discount is down to 5%. Keep that in mind for the ETF people who don't think this is going to be approved. The question I have is, does GBTC get listed in the initial batch? Based on paperwork stuff that I'm seeing, probably, yeah. Does GBTC screw over the entire market by dumping a bunch of BTC? Maybe. Maybe they do. That's why I think it's easier to pull us up on the approval and then sell off on the launch. That's another reason. You're going to have a ton of BTC coming out of that trust, especially if the fees are in the higher end. If the fees are above 50 basis points or whatever, then I think they're going to have trouble keeping BTC in the door. But if they're on the lower end, 39, 40 basis points, then they might be okay. I also don't know, there's this baggage question. Grayscale has tons of drama. The CEO got fired / legally was told to leave in a backdoor room, smoke-filled meeting. I don't know if the institutional folks know about that or if they care. I assume everybody would just rather trade BlackRock's product, Fidelity's product. Okay, so what can happen on the day? Maybe this flips to a premium briefly, because keep in mind, this is the only product that's listed that people can actually trade. People are dumb. What else? This doesn't open up until the launch, not the approval. If this goes to a premium, I'm out. If it goes to 40, where could this go? Let's measure this. Hold on. Let's get rid of that. It's funny how much better this looks on legacy charts sometimes. Okay, if this hits anything above 40, I'm out. If this hits a premium, I'm out. The trend looks great. I just don't like Grayscale anymore. I mean, I never liked Grayscale, but enough's enough. Hope they get the approval, hope they convert. But I would make a strategy in regards to the discount and the listing and blah, blah, blah. ETH also has a closing discount around 9.5%. This chart looks great still. The weekly looks fine. Weekly's got a little bit of room. I think it looks okay. ETCG, my dark horse pick, the ETC product. It's got a 30% discount. That's why I like it. It looks okay. I have no idea what happens here, but it looks okay. Two others that I haven't talked about, GDLC and BitW. Those both have a discount. I don't know what it is currently, but those also probably move on the day. I just think the GBTC move is done, and I think like Solana versus everything else, you're better off probably rotating around a little bit. Let's talk about coin. Coin looks, it was the wrong cloud, but whatever. Coin looks a little tired. Kathy's been fire sailing it a lot. It hit its measured move target on the pattern. It's still in the weekly cloud. Much like everything else, if you're bullish for the cycle, I don't think there's anything to do. You add at 108 and you just watch it play out. 108's the neckline, 108's the weekly key June. Naturally, there's going to be profit taking after 9 weeks of craziness. You just got to be patient. So you either have this from lower and you're sitting here, you have this from lower and you're taking profit, you have this from lower and you are watching it play out for a year, or you're doing any of those things and adding at 108. That's what I think you're doing. Aquarius asks, what is the importance of the 886 level on the fibs? So as far as I know, that level is most important for the harmonics. I mean, it's a fib, so it's important in that regard. I don't use it as a level that I pay attention to. We can, you can add it to charts. I'm just pulling up ETHBTC. If you trade on the 886 or you use it and are comfortable knowing where it is and paying attention, then I think it's valuable. But I think just like paying attention to that along with everything else is a lot for people. So I usually don't like call it out unless you're specifically talking about fibs or you're talking about harmonics or something. I'm sure there's some rules that say if you consolidate, if you're bearish like this and you consolidate above the 886, you have a bullish bias. Whereas if you held down by the 886 like we are here, then that probably is a more bearish continuation picture. We can test that out on, let's go back to Bitcoin real quick. If we, just trying to fib this out to see where the 886 is. I don't really think it tells you much. I mean, another way you could think about this is if you're on a breakout trade with a neckline, once you approach the 886 or whatever your favorite fib would be, that's when you would be adding to the position. Breakout trades are tough in crypto because once things start to move, it's like, boom, that's it. You had your 10 seconds. Whereas if you start to accumulate a position in a breakout trade when you're comfortable, right? So I would be, this is just me. This might not be the best strategy, but I like to buy patterns literally at resistance because I assume they're going to break out. I don't think this is any different. It's just you're going to get chopped up some of the time like you have here. But it's one way to mathematically put a sanity check on what you're doing. Yeah, give me some likes or whatever. It helps the algorithm. I don't really care, but it helps the algorithm. Frequency of carbon active content, bull market correlation signal confirmed. Yeah, we did start. When did I start doing daily videos? Like June-ish? No, August. It was August, right? So yeah, if you look at Investopedia, I'm sure it says something about the 886 that's special, but I like the 618 better personally. The 272 is another one that's some people use. If you trade harmonics, then all of those are important, but I don't talk about it. I don't bring it up, but it's a thing. I hope that's helpful. All right, where were we? Talking about miners, I think. go back to this one here. Miners have done really well, you know, and they should continue to do well if they bring in fees. Let's just check that real quick. I don't think the fee stuff's going to sustain itself. So miners should do less good, if that makes sense. They will have less profits, revenue coming in. They had crazy revenue over the last quarter. That's not likely to last based on what we're seeing on chain at the moment. So that may mean miners do less crazy parabolic things because of revenue. They may do well because of Bitcoin doing well, right? If we look at the mempool, just trying to pull this up. We'll do past year. The mempool is still quite full, but coming down. And the, you know, this this latest round of ordinals euphoria looks to be calming down a little bit. You can see as we're kind of like taking chunks out of this mountain. This is unconfirmed transactions now. Back down below 300,000. So as this cools off and as these get confirmed, the fee side of things will cool down and the miners make less money. So I would just, you know, if you're into the miners, I would definitely be aware of what's going on with the ordinals stuff. This is WGMI, the mining ETF. It hit the daily key June. It looks bullish, looks very bullish. Mara has the, wow, it really hit it. I didn't realize it went to 31. So back to the fibs again, like this is one of the reasons why I don't necessarily pay attention to most other fibs. I just say this is the broad range and that's that. But you could always add like the 886. You could add the, what's another one up there? I guess that's it. 7.9, is that a fib? So if you're trading a pattern or you're trading some levels and you wanted some specific mathematical exits for your positioning, you could always add the fibs to automate those levels, right? You could say, you know, I'm going to put, this is just a one example that worked out, right? But let's say you're trading this breakout. You could say I'm going to put some orders at 30.61, 32, and 33.84, right? Even at the 1618 at 28. So typically what I do, if I'm doing that, you know, we put an ask here, 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 and then I would weight that as, you know, 25% of the position initially. This is like getting into the nitty-gritty of how I would actually trade this. Right? So you could do some variation of that where maybe you weight it a little heavier towards the higher probability levels, and then using the fibs, you say, okay, I'm going to put 10% of the stack here, 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 right? And we could do that for Bitcoin on ETF day. I think this is dangerous to do in some sense because this could absolutely just blow these targets out of the water. But if we look at, what was it, 186, 1886, 1.79, right? This would give you some levels to pay attention to with the asks, should you so choose. So that way it kind of removes the subjectivity a little bit. Because some people, you know, are better off making less decisions, better being more automated. We'll come back to this next week and see what gets hit, right? If this just gets blown out or not. But your asks sizes up here should be based on the confidence of those levels. So if you think 47 is low, maybe you put 10% here and 25% at 48.7 or something, right? Anyway. Any thoughts on how miners perform post-halving? Well, they're making less Bitcoin post-halving, but if the Bitcoin price is past all-time highs, then their USD notional revenue should keep going up, potentially. So it's a combination of fees and Bitcoin price at that point, right? So there's like a sweet spot where it doesn't matter as much as you think it would if price doubles or whatever. So if we're at 80 past halving, you know, it's like being at 40 now for them, right? So there may be no difference at all. I don't know. We'll see. That's me times 100, less choices the better. I'm the same way. You know, I wear like 5 sets of clothes and that's it. I don't really care. You know, the Steve Jobs approach, you get up, you put on a turtleneck, you go to work. One less decision you have to make during the day, one less decision you have to make when trading. I think it's helpful for some people, definitely. Yeah, Ken, we looked at LTC. I just said, why would you trade LTC? I just think there's better things to touch. Some people, this is not me, but some people would say, man, look how bullish this is. It has held support on this diagonal for 7 years. This looks so good. I would say this thing has continued to sell off against Bitcoin for the past 7 years. What the hell are you doing? Look at this. Look at this chart. It's been down only. Let's just percentage it, right? Let's go somewhere in here. You're down 87%. Why? Why are we trading this? I don't understand. It just hurts people. Exchanges listing all this crap and keeping it listed. Like, look, be a libertarian, list everything, I don't care. But at the end of the day, it hurts people because it gives them hope that this stuff's going to actually recover. And I would just be very careful with that logic. I would just be very careful. I don't like buying blood. I don't like buying knives. This is a new all-time low, probably, or close to it. Yeah, that's a new all-time low for LTC this week. I'm not just calling out Ken Plant. Not going to name him again, but this does not look pretty on the LTC BTC chart. Just doesn't look good. Yeah, heavier than the sun. It's not even hated. It's like apathy at this point, you know? It upsets me when people bring it up, not because they brought it up, but because I know they've probably sat in this for a while and they're just getting destroyed on a relative value basis. Absolutely destroyed. Anyway. Is there an exchange where this has volume? Not really. I don't know. I wouldn't touch this. I wouldn't think about it. I would avoid it at all costs. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. If you're just using the blockchain to move money, it's great. It's cheap. It's fast. But I would not sit in this for any amount of time. You're better off in a stablecoin. All right, so Mara on the weekly still looks fine. I think the heat of the move, or the meat of the move has been made. And the next bit is going to be choppy. Like, yes, it could go to 40, it could stay at 26, it could go down to 20. I don't know. I just think it's going to need some time post-halving to kind of figure out what the price of Bitcoin is going to be. And then miners may do well. Riot also looks okay. You know, as a group, all of these should look fairly okay. I wouldn't call this a bull trend. I would call this a mean reversion, just because they were down so much in the previous years. If we're going to get a real deal bull market, expect these to go much higher if the Bitcoin price does well. I don't think these stagnate. You know, Mara collected a record number of Bitcoin last month. I think it's 1,800 BTC, and they're holding it. So that's going to give them a tailwind, just because they have a Bitcoin treasury and Bitcoin's going to wherever it's going, right? See ya, dangles. Hut also looks okay. So some of this stuff looks fine. I just think the explosive part of the move is kind of over in the moment. Another quiet one is Hood. Hood, you know, say what you will about the exchange, the chart looks okay. The chart looks okay. I assume this is accumulation, and I assume this breaks up eventually, right? I would love to see, you know, we'll be generous. We'll say 33 by July for Hood. Wouldn't that be funny? 46 would be the dream, but 33 is possible. Yeah, Kathy's really messing with a lot of the crypto equities, isn't she? Square we kind of talked about. I think this looks fine for a cycle hold. It's crypto adjacent. They make a lot of their money on selling BTC to people. The chart looks good. Looks fine, right? Looks fine. Somebody wanted me to look at PLTR. So Square to what? Square to at least 100, I'd imagine. PLTR, what is this? Doesn't look like the most bullish thing I've ever seen. Maybe a double top? Definitely a bear div on that. Higher time frames. I don't know. I'm not so bullish on that. Not so bullish on that. Any fundamentals or tech you're excited about? I mean, DEXs are cool as long as the US government doesn't shut them down. Stables are cool. RWA stuff is cool if it works. It's just, why would you risk any money on that versus going to a broker and getting 5%? I just don't know why you would stay in the crypto ecosystem and deal with all that nonsense when you could just remove so much risk by touching the real world. You know, like, that's okay. The real world does some things pretty okay, and that's one of them. Any other legacy charts or anything? Anything else? XLM, sure. Let's go to, what is it? Bitstamp, maybe? Forget, maybe it is Poloniex. No? It was STR. Is that still listed? No, it's not. I don't even know what the best... Bitfinex, maybe? Let's try Bitfinex. It looks okay, but I would look at this chart first. Does this chart look bullish to you? That's what I would ask myself. I don't think this is bullish. I don't think making a 6-year low is bullish, but if you do, sure, yeah. I don't know, this does not look good to me. Does not look good to me. What else we got? Anything else? I don't think so. Kind of a quiet one. We're just waiting. Just waiting for the news. Waiting for people to admit that they were wrong about this. Could you imagine? What if it does get denied? Could you imagine? I don't think it will, but you look at what's popular with the kids. Well, if the kids like not Dixie, XLM, then they're not making any money this cycle. Osmo USDT. Yeah. It's got the classic pump and dump fractal, or more specifically, the dump and pump fractal, right? If I was going to P&D something, which I do not participate in, but if I was going to do that, I would look for charts that look like this. Cheap, less than $1, ideally less than a quarter. And down for like a year. This is Sol ecosystem, right? I think so. You know, Ray is another one. Looks fine. Looks real good. As long as the Sol ecosystem keeps printing money, anything should look good. Yeah, Ripple and Stellar definitely are the same chart for sure. Lido and Tia are popular with the kids. I don't know anybody knocking on my door asking about either of those coins. All right, Band, Atom, Gala. Gala looks kind of sad. It's kind of like me today, a little low energy, a little tired. I would just watch for, I even have an alert. Look at me. Do you see this? I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I don't think you can. There's a little alert symbol here. So I have an alert on this chart for that diagonal. Probably one of the later cycle movers if this does move, but it looks like it might. Looks okay. Osmo is Atom's main DEX. See, all I have to do is say the wrong thing and then everyone will correct me. That's some like axiom. I forget what it's called. Okay, so if Atom looks good, then yeah, looks okay. I would rather, you know, this isn't like screaming much like the previous chart. It's not screaming bullishness, but I would much rather take a chance on this than Solana or AVAX, just because it hasn't really moved. Hasn't really moved yet. What were the other ones? Band, that's a poor man's link. I know that much. Binance. Yeah, Band looks okay. You got your ugly looking double bottom down there. Looks about as good as ETC does. It had a crazy head and shoulders up here, right? So I like 5 for Atom. Atom Eco is buzzing with all the airdrops. Let me tell you, it is the hottest chain of 2024. Show BTC index on an M. Bring up all the halvings. Put on the fib time zone. Okay, monthly. What's up, Mark? I'm alive. And you, so are you apparently. I don't remember. Maybe Mark knew me in a past life. I don't know. I do love the Ichi. All right, monthly Bitcoin. Fib time zone on having dates? I don't know what that means. Let me go to a different chart. Fib time zone. Bitcoin halvings, monthly. Fib time zone. So like this? What does that tell me? You mean the next halving date? Or am I drawing this right? Fib time zone. Isn't it supposed to draw it out or no? I don't know. I don't know how to use this. Sorry. You'll have to send me a chart or something. I don't know. Must be doing that wrong. What is BTCS? What is this? Looks okay. You know, Adam and Evie. No clue what this is. I mean, it looks good. I don't know what it is. All right, last two, Filecoin and Caspa. Filecoin, I said, is one of my longer term bags here. I can't think of a better looking chart outside of ETC. I just love something about coins that have been down only for 2 years. They look to be at the top of their accumulation fractals. The cloud likes it on the high time frames. What else do you want? This, I would hold this until January 2025 and be totally happy about it. Or consider selling something above 100. That's how confident I am that this goes higher, because I think the market gets silly this cycle. Ocean, Caspa, okay. Ocean looks okay. I'd rather trade Filecoin or ETC personally, if I'm gonna jump into that nonsense. Caspa, Cas USD. I think we talked about this last stream. It's got some sort of burn mechanism, right? It has a channel, I think. If you tilt your head. It's got some sort of channel that it doesn't look happy to be in. I would just be careful. Does this have a burn mechanism? Why is it burning? If it's burning, is that burn slowing down? It's up quite a bit over the past couple of years, so I'd be careful. Thanks, Philip. Hopefully, look, I know it's kind of boring. I don't have too much to say. Broadly, the setups are kind of the same. We're just waiting on the news catalysts. Alts across the board look fine. Crypto equities across the board look fine. Legacy's pulling back a little bit because it's spent 9 straight weeks going up. And we look good. Everything looks okay. We just sit here and wait. The hard part's over. The anguish in the bear market. Your goal now is just to not blow up on some high leveraged pullback. Throw me a like, dislike. whatever you want to do. And we'll catch you maybe tomorrow for Ledgercast. I don't know. If not, then Sunday. That's it. We might, at this time next week, we'll know if we have an ETF, probably. That's all I got for this one, guys. Take care. See ya.